All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today is Sunday, November 30th, 2025. You are now watching Permission to Exist. I am your host, Permission to Exist, also known as PTE. It is so good to see you all again. It's great to have you here this evening. I hope that everyone's holiday season has been good for those of you who chose to participate. And for those of you who chose to sit it out, congratulations to you. I basically sat it out. I did, and I'm proud of myself. And it seems like a lot of other people did too. When I was looking around the neighborhood, usually you'll see like kids riding their bike after everyone's eaten. You'll hear people like watching the game. You'll kind of like see it. I didn't see any of that. It was like any other day. So I don't know if everyone was just tucked in or what, but congratulations to those of you who boycotted. I'm proud of you. So, welcome everyone. Let me know how the sound is. First, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who supports the channel, be that Cash App, Patreon, super chatting, liking, commenting, or subscribing to the channel. Thank you all so much for your continuous and ongoing support. And it means a lot because you know I have lots of huge gaps in my content creation, but I do hope to get better. Like this is the third show in what, a month? That's pretty good for me. Give me one second, y'all. I'm so sorry. Let's see. I'm texting. I'm getting something delivered and they're having trouble locating it. Tub. I shouldn't have done this right before the show, but I didn't think it would be this complicated. Okay, perfect. So welcome to the show, everybody. It's good to have you. It's good to see you. Man, oh man, oh man. We have so much to talk about, y'all, in relation to this subject. See, the chat says that this is everyone's favorite series, or a couple of you have this as a favorite series. And it's such an important series. So I'm glad that you all like it because, you know, when I first started it, I've always kind of talked about this subject, not this in depth since the channel started. But if you go back to my early days, we've been talking about this general topic since the channel started. One of the videos that comes to mind is the misguided members of MGTOW, is when it really was first starting. Misguided members of MGTOW. I don't know if I have that video public right now or if it's hidden, but that was one of the early days conversations about this topic. I had no idea at the time that it would get so bad. I had no idea it would reach levels like these. Oh, some of you remember that video. Wow. Yeah, I don't know if it's public or not, but it might be. If it is, I'll link it in the chat. But anyway, it has actually gotten progressively and substantially worse since that video was published. And I think what surprised me the most is how many men latch on to this ideology. Now, if you've been keeping up with kind of what's going on social media and cultural conversations, the red pill is kind of falling apart because people are starting to realize, and this is their words, not mine, but I wouldn't disagree. They're starting to realize how ridiculous it is. And they said that the whole entire movement is filled with weirdos and losers. And this is coming out of the mouths of former red pill people. The whole entire movement is filled with losers and weirdos, and that's their words, not mine. But I wouldn't disagree. So now they're trying to distance themselves from everything that they've done over the past couple of years. Many of them are, of course, turning to religion and finding God. After all this damage that they've done, they're turning to religion and finding God. And that's their new grift, right? They grifted on the red pill for a couple of years. Now they're reformed and they're telling their same followers to now follow Christ or whatever religious figure they've landed on as their next grift. So that's kind of the current state. It's completely falling apart. And I would also like to say that I think analysis like this and other content creators who have been hammering it for the past couple of years have really opened the eyes of a lot of people who may not have truly understood what the problem was initially. To people like me and other people in the early days, we saw the problem immediately. But I think it took a long time for the rest of society to catch up to what a huge issue this is. It's not just a bunch of guys getting together, talking a little trash about women, but overall great guys, good guys, great people, great family men. We just get together in the barbershop or the locker room or the golf course and just talk a little trash about women, have a couple of beers, and that's not what it is, y'all. It's literally capturing the minds of men everywhere, young, old, and everything in between. And it is corrupting them to such a degree that they are carrying out horrifically violent acts against women, children, and themselves. And here is my greatest hope for all of this. I hope that the families of some of these victims catch on to what's going on social media and sue these tech giants into oblivion. It is an easy case to win. It's so easy. It's so easy that if you were a defense attorney, you could actually probably successfully defend your client who's gone out and done one of these horrible things, saying, my client is impressionable, they have a low IQ, and they have been fed an algorithmically steady diet of content that literally rewrote their brain. So at some point, it became impossible for my client to know the difference between right and wrong. And as a result, and because there was nothing out there challenging or counteracting these narratives that were force fed down my client's throat, as a result, my low IQ client went out and committed this horrible act. That is a successful defense that would at least get your client's time reduced. They might still be punished, but maybe they don't get a life sentence. Maybe they get 25 years instead. Because it's true. It is true. So, what I'd like to do first before we start, because we actually do this for every show, is I want to remind you why this series exists. Now, we haven't done this series since September of 2024. So this is everything that I have slowly collected over the year actually over a year. It's like been a year and like 4 months or something like that. This is everything that I've been collecting over that time frame. And I know I missed some. I know I've missed some stories, but it's hard to keep up because literally every day when I open my phone, this is what I'm seeing. Imagine what it's like being a woman living in a society where every time you open your phone, you see some horrible act of violence that has been committed against a woman by her intimate partner. And now, as you will see, by her coworker, who she didn't even have any kind of sexual relationship with. He just didn't like her. Every day we're seeing this. And if that's hard for you to envision, flip it. Imagine every day you open your phone and you hear a story about some woman who has unalived her boyfriend, her husband and her children, her male coworker because she didn't like him, her some random guy she met in the street because she asked for his phone number. He told her no, so she unalived him. I want you to picture it that way. If it's hard for you to picture it in the way that it's actually happening, because it happens so much that it's now been normalized, I would like for you to try to picture it in the reverse, to the point where you would start to be scared of women. Like, dang, let me not piss off any women when I walk outside because women are out here unaliving people every day. But it's the exact opposite. And we're supposed to carry on life like it's normal. And we're supposed to act like there's nothing wrong, like there's nothing to see here, just another day in the neighborhood. So let's take a look and remind ourselves why we're here. And then I'll come back with my commentary. Okay, so we're back. So that video was a little over 4 minutes long and could have been longer. And probably eventually I'll have to find another song to put underneath it because I keep running out of space. So, again, I'd like for you to imagine what it's like to be a woman living in this society because the majority of those stories were from the United States. There were a few international stories, but the good majority of those stories were from the United States. So, imagine what it's like being a woman living in a society where you don't know what man is dangerous and what man isn't. And it gets to the point where you just have to assume for your own safety that they all are, you guys. And when I say all, I actually mean all. I mean even male family members that you cherish. Because how can you tell the difference? Sure, your dad, uncle, brother, cousin, nephew, son is just a gem. He's a gemstone. Wouldn't hurt a fly. But to other women, he's just another man. So, how am I supposed to know your brother, dad, uncle, cousin, son, nephew is safe? How do I differentiate your safe boys from her unsafe boys? Because all of these men belonged to somebody. Yes, the chat says some of them look so normal. And that's what scares me, you guys. Some of them just look so normal. Like some guys look scary. And so you kind of get a good heads up. Even though they claim don't judge a book by its cover, we're in the wild at this point. This is the jungle at this point. So if you look scary, I'm going to assume you're scary. But some guys don't look scary. I don't know if y'all saw the one story, a dentist unalived his wife and daughter and himself too, I believe. A dentist. So I'm pretty sure, I didn't look very far into it, but I'm sure he was a pillar of the community. I'm sure people trusted him. I mean, a dentist, you trust them with your mouth, your teeth, very delicate procedures. So, like how do we vet? How do we screen for safety when the dentists are doing it? There was a celebrity chef that made this installment. I actually had never heard of this chef before. But apparently he was like a famous, I don't know if he was a social media chef, but yeah, he unalived his wife and child. So we can't date the dentist. We can't date the chef. We can't date the sheriff or the sheriff's deputy because that was on there too. Can't date him. Like, who is safe? And here's what concerns me. And it's part of the reason I do this whole series. Some of you will take offense to this, and I apologize in advance for the offense that you will take, and I hope that you'll return to the channel when you're finished being mad at me. But I compare men to pit bulls. And the issue with pit bulls is that some of them will go their whole lives and would never hurt a garden fly. People post videos online all the time of their pit bull running from a butterfly or running from a smaller dog, like literally terrified. Wouldn't hurt a fly. They trust their pit bulls around their babies, and those pit bulls are so gentle and delicate with those babies. And they watch over those babies, and they would never dream of hurting those babies, and they never do. And then you have other pit bulls that for some reason, nobody knows, people have tried to explain, but you have other pit bulls who inexplicably turn. And it makes no sense. They've never done anything like that before. They've always been sweet and kind and gentle and obedient and disciplined and all the things. They trusted them around the babies. The babies are now teenagers. The dog never hurt them, ever. And then for one reason or another, it just wakes up one day and turns. So I compare today's modern male to a pit bull in that It's inexplicable almost. And it can be made worse. Like the condition can start off mild to moderate and it can actually be made worse, but the turn is inexplicable. And it takes everyone off guard because just like the pit bulls who never hurt the babies their whole entire lives, and then one day turn, it catches everyone off guard in the same way. People who've known this man for their whole entire lives trust them with their life. He turns like a pit. So again, I know some of you will take offense to that analogy, and I apologize for that offense. And I do hope that you will return when you're finished being angry with me. But there's a reason for it though. There's a reason that stereotype exists, The stereotype exists for a reason. So when I look at all these stories and I just look at all these girls, it's just like it's so devastating to me because it makes me think of so many things, and it makes me wonder, like, did she have any idea what kind of danger she was in, especially these younger women? When you're young, like when you're in your early 20s, it's very easy to look at someone in their 30s even, but of course 30s and up, and think, "Oh, they're just old." They're just old. These women may have internalized a lot of the misogyny that they've been taught over the years. Because keep in mind, these young women grew up, a lot of the young women, some of them were older even than me, but a lot of the stories are women in their 20s, 20-year-olds, 22, 23, just getting started with their lives, just getting ramped up. A lot of college age women, women who were in college, getting their education, bettering their lives, getting ready to really start their life, are getting wiped out by these young men that they're dealing with because they may have internalized a lot of the narratives that they've been taught. Oh, when a woman passes a certain age, don't listen to her. She's just bitter. Don't listen to her. She's just not wife material and she just didn't know how to get a man. But you do. You're better than her. Foolishness like that. They may have never heard anything counter to that, which is why content creators like myself and others who focus solely on this topic are so treasured and valued. Protect them at all costs because they're getting through. They're breaking through to a huge chunk of this generation, which is why the younger generation, which is why the birth rate is declining, because the girls are putting two and two together and they're seeing this. They're seeing what the men are saying about them. They're seeing how the men think about them. They're seeing the male expectations. They're seeing these videos going viral of men saying women should lose their voting rights. The same generation that is like very, very active in politics and very, very outspoken regarding political issues, you're telling those same girls, we want to see you lose your voting rights. And you think that's going to go over well for you? You think that's going to translate into more dates? It's fascinating. Okay. But anyway, what I want to do tonight is I want to talk about a couple of major news stories that have taken place recently to just kind of highlight how bad things have gotten. The theme for tonight's show is worse than we thought. And it is, y'all. Um, I want to review the news stories and then I want to give a little bit more commentary and then we'll close out and we'll get out of here. So let me share my screen, entire screen, share. Okay. Then we do this. Yes. Okay. Oh, and I meant to do a sensitive content warning as well, because I mean, it's always sensitive content as it relates to this series, but I think tonight is particularly bad. This is like a SOS emergency broadcast. So sensitive content warning, because we are also going to touch on that story of that dad who hiked up the mountain in Utah with his 3 kids and almost unalived all 3 of them One of them is fighting for their life right now. We're going to talk about him too. So, sensitive content warning just for the viewers out there, okay? So, some of you may have heard of this story. So, a young lady, she was 18 years old, she was a high school student, had gone on a cruise with her family, and they found her unalived in somewhere on the boat, covered up in like life jackets or something like that. So, her name was Anna Kepner. In this headline, Anna Kepner, who passed away on a Carnival cruise, fought for her life as family demands stepbrother be charged for her unaliving. Her stepbrother, y'all. An 18-year-old Florida cheerleader who was unalived in the cabin of a cruise ship she shared with her stepbrother fought for her life, according to a relative, who on Friday demanded that the boy be charged. I know Anna fought. I know she fought for her life, so it's rough. Wright is frustrated that there's been no arrest following Kepner's mysterious unaliving, which has been ruled a homicide. We don't understand why, if the boy is a suspect, he's not been charged yet. What's happening with this? It's turmoil. We're just sitting here waiting. So this is the young lady. The tragic teen's death was ruled a homicide by mechanical asphyxiation after her body was found on November 7th while vacationing with her family, authorities said. Kepner was stashed under her cabin bed, wrapped in a blanket covered by life vests. And Anna's father, Christopher Kepner, has said he wants his stepson charged if he's responsible for her unaliving. Law enforcement have yet to announce a suspect or person of interest. Right, because, people just end up stuffed under their cabin cruise ship beds randomly. Just, it's something that can just happen. You can just, end up under there. So they're saying they believe her stepbrother is the one responsible for this. And I read somewhere else that he had basically been sexually harassing her for years or months, something like that. It had been going on for some time. Um, and like, I can already tell you what his logic was. Because if you study these people long enough, you start to understand how they think. His logic was, it's not my sister. That was his logic. And that's all it took for him to open the door to possibilities with this young woman. And what I'm guessing happened was he probably made an advance at her. She rejected him or turned him down. She may or may not have had anywhere else to go, because I've never personally been on a cruise ship. I actually don't have any desire to go on one. I take that back. I would go on a cruise ship if it was docked. So, like, you just go on the ship, hang out, have fun, eat, you know, do whatever people do on cruise ships, but the boat never actually leaves the shore. That's the only way you could get me to participate in a cruise ship. But anyway, what if she didn't have anywhere to go? I don't know what time this happened. There's also the issue of a lot of times people who are victims of these things don't feel comfortable really telling anybody, because a lot of times they know no one is going to believe them. So exactly, chat says, why did they have them in the same cabin? We don't have those answers yet, but what I suspect is that she possibly never told, because that's creepy and it's weird and it creates an awkward dynamic. Your stepbrother is hitting on you. Like, ew. And even though they share no blood, they are family now, especially if it was through marriage. So it kind of becomes a situation of like, do I tell my mom? Do I tell my dad? Because that's going to make Thanksgiving really weird and probably every interaction going forward. So maybe I'll just brush it off. Women are the masters of just kind of brushing it off. Like, oh, ha ha, you're so funny. Oh, get out of here. You're so weird. You know, no way. I'm going to hook you up with my friend Melissa. You know, No way, dude. Ew. I'm gonna hook you up with my friend Melissa though. She thinks you're cute. Like women are the masters of deflection. We have to be for our own safety. For our own safety, we have to be that way. Like when I go out in public, if a guy speaks to me, like somewhere out in public, I always speak back. Always. And it's not because I'm a friendly, approachable person like that. It's because I know so many of these men are right there on the threshold. And I know that if I exercise my right as an autonomous human being to not speak to a stranger, that might be just the catalyst he needs to do whatever it is he was planning on doing that day. And maybe he saw me and said, you know what? If she doesn't speak to me, that's it. I'm laying everybody down in sight. So when he said, hey, how you doing today? Oh, hey, how are you? Good, good, good. Take care. I keep it pushing now. I don't stop and chit chat. I keep it pushing, but I don't want to be the catalyst. And is that my responsibility? Of course not. Should I feel that way? Of course not. Should I feel obligated to speak back because I'm concerned about my safety? Of course not. But this is what we're dealing with, y'all. This is the time that we're living in. I saw someone say once that good men benefit from the actions of bad men because the actions of bad men keep everybody in check. So it makes life for the good man a little bit easier because bad men exist. So what do I mean? So let's say the man who speaks to me is actually a good guy, right? I speak back not because I know he's a good guy. I speak back because I don't know if he's a bad guy. Then, because of that interaction, maybe it opens the door. Maybe we exchange numbers, which I have been known to give my number out too. Just to let's just make it smooth, let's just make it easy. I'll block him later. I'll block him later. And a lot of women do that. A lot of women do that. So the good guy gets my number not because his approach was so smooth or because I was really impressed with him or anything like that. The good guy gets my number because she doesn't know if I'm a crash out or not. So then the good guy gets my number. We go on dates. You see how that works? So the bad men keep everyone in check and the good guys benefit by default. Okay? Chat says, "Yeah, let's define a good guy," right? Yep, chat says, "Oh my god, you're right. We talk out of fear." I mean, we do. You know? So it's like I had to go in the gas station the other day. It was right before Thanksgiving, and this guy was like, "You cooking?" I was like, "I don't know, maybe." He was like, "You gonna make stuffing?" I said, "I don't know. It all depends." And I'm like steady walking, but I'm giving him interaction because I don't want to be the catalyst. And hear me loud and clear, you guys. I'm not saying, ladies, that you all need to go out here and just speak to every man who speaks to you to prevent from setting them off. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you how I choose to kind of move and like approach things. That's all. It's just a personal choice. I'm not advocating for that because I really don't think that's safe either. But what I'm saying is they're so unstable that that could be the one thing. Like, let's say he's had so many people not speak back that day, and you're number 20. He's had 20 women ignore him. And if you're 21 and that's all it took, do you see what I mean? No matter how I say it, it's coming out wrong. It's coming out sounding like I'm saying, please be nice to these guys so they don't crash out. And that is actually not what I'm saying. But I can't think of how to rephrase it in a way that better communicates what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to communicate how unhinged they become. The topic of tonight's show is worse than we thought. That's what I'm trying to communicate. It's just not coming out right. So let's continue. Okay. And you know what? Sorry, I have to go back to that really quick because a comment in the chat, the comment says, where'd it go? The men you give your number to will call to make sure it's not the wrong number right in front of you. I keep my distance. They absolutely will call it to make sure it's the real number, which should tell you everything, right? It's like you better not give me a fake number either. Like that's the level of threat that we're under at all times, right? So this actually happened to me the other day. And I'm so proud of the growth. And I'm glad I remembered this because then now I can communicate it with you guys. But same thing. He stopped me on the way out of the grocery store. And he was like, "Oh, I see you." This is a different guy, but I'm just using the same voice. "Oh, you're getting ready to go do some cooking." I'm like, "Yeah, gotta eat." Something stupid I said. I'm so lame. I don't know why they still want my number after that. I try to be lame too, real lame. Because he was like, "What's there to do for fun around here?" And I'm thinking to myself, you don't know? Like, you live out here, don't you? This is what I'm thinking. I'm not saying that, but I'm thinking, you don't know what there is to do for fun around here? You live out here, don't you? But anyway, I was like, I was like, oh man, oh man, I don't know. I just be at home, I just be chilling at home. I don't do anything. He was like, "Oh, you gotta go out sometimes. You gotta have fun sometimes." I was like, "Fun for me is taking a nap. I'm old." I play that card hard too. I'm old. I have cats. I'll throw that one out there too. I'll do everything. I'm like, oof. Fun for me is taking a nap. I have cats, by the way. Just anything, anything I could think of to make them go, "Oh, she's boring. She's boring. She's lame. I'll move on to the next one." But nope, they persist, which tells me a lot too. It's like, I've just thrown out what you all consider to be several boring and lame things, and you still want my number, which means you're an extraction artist and you're trying to extract something from me. God only knows what. But anyway, he was like, "What you doing tonight?" And I made up something. I said, "Oh, I gotta work," because I think it was a weekday. I was like, "Oh, I gotta work. I'm late shift," or something, just something stupid I made up on the spot. But what bothered me was here's this man. We're clearly not teenagers. I'm clearly not a teenager or like a 21-year-old. I don't look old, but I'm clearly not a young girl. Do I look like I have plans on going somewhere tonight? I very much dress, what's the word? Oh, they have a word for it. Like come casual chic. I don't I forgot the actual term, but it's very much giving tennis shoes, sweatpants, or yoga pants, t-shirt or a sweatshirt, but cute though. Not like bummy, but like on the go, woman on the move. It's very much giving woman on the move. I wouldn't even call it modest. I would just say I'm not dressed like someone who looks like she's going out tonight. It's very much giving, like, gotta go pick the kids up from school almost, just no kids. Comfortable but cute. It's like very comfy, cute, very anyway. The point is, I don't look like I'm dressed like I'm going somewhere tonight. Do I look like I'm going out tonight? So he was like, "What are you doing tonight?" So the fact that this man sees me in this parking lot with a basket full of groceries that he didn't offer to pay for, by the way, but it's neither here nor there. Um, if y'all want more success with women, maybe you should start offering to pay for things. You want us to just drop everything. Let me get to my point. The point is, you see this woman who's clearly not a child or a young adult or a teenager with a basket full of groceries and think that she's just going to drop everything that she had planned for that night to go out with you, a complete stranger. You think that you're that important. Do you see what I'm saying? And he wasn't young either. I couldn't put my finger on his age, but he wasn't that young. He wasn't in his 20s, I could tell you that much. Maybe he like mid to late 30s or early 30s, but he wasn't you're not young. So something in his mind should be telling him, "Hey, if I want to ask this woman out, let me maybe try to set something in the future. But what are you doing tonight?" Like, and so I share this story with you guys to say These are the little things that you need to look for. These are the little things that you need to be on the lookout for. Someone who honestly thinks that you are going to drop everything to go be with him for any length of time on the same day that you met him. The level of entitlement there is kind of insane, don't you think? Clearly, I got groceries, so don't you think I'm getting ready to maybe go home and cook? Maybe for myself, maybe for me and my boyfriend. Maybe I have children at home. Who knows? You didn't even ask. You didn't even ask. Are you married? Do you have a boyfriend? Kids? Nothing. Just what are you doing tonight? And I'm thinking, let me get out of here as fast as possible. This guy is weird, And sure enough, because I gave him my real number because we're standing there. He was a caller. He called it. Okay, yeah, you got my number. All right, bye. And every day since if it finally went away. Hey, 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 what's up? Hey, how you doing? Hey, what you got going on? Hey, hey. I'm like, wow, these men really have no social skills whatsoever. Even if I was interested, I would have lost interest after that because he's an adult. He's grown. You know what I mean? We're not both like 18 years old. This man, somewhere in his 30s, possibly older than me. It was hard to tell. And all you got to offer up is, hey, hey, hey. Chat says impulsive, lack of planning. Exactly. Chat says looking for a desperate woman that will take him in and offering nothing. Exactly. Exactly. Chat says hobosexual. It is hobosexual season, by the way, ladies. It's getting cold out, so they're looking to somewhere to they're looking for somewhere to root, okay? And nest and rest, okay? Let's move on. I think I finally shook him off though. I think I'm done with that one. So thinking about getting another cell phone so I can just give out the number to that one. But I'm like, I'm not spending money. I'm not spending money just to avoid y'all. I'm not. And it's sad that it's gotten to this point. It's gotten to the point where women cannot simply say, no, thank you. I'm not interested. And let that be that. And I think, hold on, before we get into this coworker story, I think that this is part of what's not being taught in schools, in Boy Scouts, in on football teams, on wherever these young men are congregating and hanging out and getting to know each other or whatever. This is not being taught. And I could do a whole separate show on this. Is that somewhere along the lines, they put it in these young men's mind that their sole focus in life is women, 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 women. And when they're younger, girls, 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 meaning they're also boys at the same time, is what I mean. Then as they get older, women, 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 or as some of them say, females, females, female. It is a 24/7 obsession for some of them. And if I had a son, I would spend so much time trying to get him to focus on something else other than women and girls, something where he could put his mental energy. And no, I wouldn't try to stop him from dating or anything like that. I wouldn't try to stop him, but I would try to make sure that it wasn't his singular focus because that singular focus is destroying these guys, y'all. Like it is literally wiping their mind out to the point where even in middle school, one romantic failure can set them up on a path to becoming the worst type of incels that you've seen 10, 20, and 30 years later because a girl hurt his feelings in middle school. Meanwhile, the girls are getting their hearts broken all throughout middle school, high school, college, and on into adulthood. And we don't collapse entirely because of it. Our hearts get broken. I think when a woman's heart is truly broken, you know what she does? Instead of going out trying to hurt men, she usually will swear men off. She'll say, you know what? That's it. I'm done. And that's what a lot of women do. They just stop dating altogether and they redefine their life and they go in a different direction when they're done. When men get their heart broken, they want to literally end people's lives. We've got to explore that. We've got to break that apart and we've got to figure out some sort of early learning program that helps these men and boys cope with emotional distress. Because those of you who are listening who've had your hearts broken before, you know how much it hurts. Oh, chat says get a Google number. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Um, you know how much it hurts. You know how much you cry. You know the pain. You know the grieving process you go through. Men and boys can't handle it. They can't take it, y'all. They don't know what to do with that energy, so they kill. They don't know how to deal with the energy of being frustrated. They don't know how to deal with the energy of being disappointed. They also don't know how to deal with the reality of consent. And it's very hard for them to understand that people have a right to choose who they want in their life and when. People have a right to choose. Just because you want something doesn't mean the other person has to want it too. And honestly, y'all, that thought process has helped me get over so many breakups. Because while a breakup is devastating and it can hurt, especially when you didn't initiate it, the thought that helps me every time is, you know what? I only want to be with someone who wants to be with me too. And it's such a simple concept, but it's one that's very freeing because think about it. Do you really want somebody to be with you who doesn't want to be with you? To where every time they talk to you, they don't want to talk to you really. They're just doing it out of obligation. Every time they see you, they don't really want to see you. They don't really want to be there. They're just doing it out of obligation. They don't really want to do anything for you because they really don't like you, but they're just doing it out of obligation. That is horrible. That's awful. Like, please choose who you want to be with. And while it hurts that you didn't choose me, I accept it because the last thing I would want is for you to be cringing every time you see me. And we've all had that feeling before. We all know what it's like to be around someone you don't want to be around, but you have to be. Perfect example, I think, is like coworker situations because we don't choose our coworkers typically. So you're kind of stuck with whoever you get, and you kind of have to be there because that's how you earn your money. But you would prefer not to be in the presence of that person. And for some of you, the minute you're able to get away from that person, you do, and you never look at them, about them, or talk to them ever again because you didn't like them, you didn't prefer them, you did not consent to their presence. So you're happy when it's gone because now your choice is back. Now what you would have wanted for yourself has returned. That is consent. So men have a very difficult time processing and understanding consent. And here's another way that I know that to be true. A lot of them advocate for no divorce laws. They don't want women to be able to divorce them. And they're dead serious, y'all. They're not kidding. They're actually really serious about this. So you would rather a woman basically be obligated by law to stay with you and she doesn't want to be. And the longer that goes on, the more she starts to resent you and hate you. She doesn't like you. She doesn't like seeing you. She hates it when you come home. She loves it when you leave. She cringes every time she has to engage in something that she doesn't want to, but I'm sure that she'd be obligated to because if no divorce really came into play, I'm sure she wouldn't be able to say no to other things either. So you're essentially graping her. And you're okay with that too. You don't care that you're graping her, that she doesn't crave you, she doesn't want you, she doesn't desire you the way a woman desires a man. when she really wants him. She doesn't want that. It actually makes her want to throw up the thought of being with you. And you're okay with that. Y'all, that is sick. That is a mental illness that I don't know has a name yet. It's beyond narcissism and it's beyond psychopathy as well. Because when I think about it, when I'm thinking about this to myself, I think, here's how I picture it. It's almost like he's saying, you're mine and only mine, and you're my woman, and you'll be in my house, and you'll live with me, and you'll love me, and you'll have sex with me, and you make my food, and I don't care if you don't like it because you're my woman and nobody else's, and you can't leave, and ha ha ha, because you are stuck with me until the day that I die. I love you forever and ever. You are my woman. And she's like, but I don't want to be your woman. I don't care. You are my woman. You're with me. Nobody else's. You stay with me. You don't leave. You don't go anywhere because you are my woman. That's how I picture it. That's how I envision it. That's the thought process. Like, I really don't care if you don't want to be here. You are mine, mine and mine alone. And always and forever. And you're going to be here and you're going to stand by me no matter what I do. I have a separate theory. We need to deviate really quick. I have a theory that a lot of times when men mistreat their girlfriends, specifically their girlfriends, like everything will be fine. Like they'll be dating, everything will be going very, very well, right? And then they'll suddenly do something horrible. I think they're doing it just to see, will she stay? Will she stand by me no matter what? Because to them, that is what true love is. To them, true love is no matter what I do to you, you won't leave. And that to them is the test of true love. And that is also why I believe that I'm single, because you do some foul shit to me, I'm out. So essentially, what I'm telling them in more or less words is, I'm not going to tolerate bad behavior from you. So if this is what you plan on doing, if this is how you're showing up, then I'm out. And for them though, I disqualify myself because it's like, dang, I only cheated on you and you want to leave. Dang, I only cheated on you. I only had unprotected sex with some random chick that I just met. She might be pregnant, but we won't know for another 4 weeks. And you want to leave because of that? Wow, you didn't love me at all, I guess. That's how they think, y'all. I'm telling you that this is the simplistic mindset that they are following. That's how the logic goes. That's what logic is. Step by step. What step comes here, then what, then what, then what. That's what logic is, step by step. So that's the thought process that they are taking. Yes, I cheated on you and got another woman pregnant. And you're going to leave me because of that? Well, then did you ever really love me at all? So typically and these are real arguments that happen, you guys. If you find yourself in this type of argument with a man, you need to break up with him just because he's stupid. But typically what happens is the woman, when she finds herself in this type of argument, will say something like, what if I went out and got pregnant by another man? And you know what his response typically is? Oh, I'd kill you both. I'd kill him and you. Listen, y'all think I'm making this stuff up. You think I'm just sitting here making this stuff up? I'm not. That is typically their response. If you did this to me, if you did to me what I did to you, I'd kill you. But if I do it to you, you need to stay because that proves to me how much you love me. No, I can do anything, no matter what I do to you. You're right there, loyal like a dog. They say dogs are real loyal like that, which is what makes it 10 times sadder when you hear about different things that happen to dogs, because apparently dogs are super loyal like that. Like, it's hard to get a dog to turn on you, except for pit bulls, as we discussed earlier. Shout out to the pit bulls and pit bull owners. I know that some of them are just the sweetest babies. I'm very aware of that. But a lot of their brethren are just extremely dangerous. So it becomes hard to differentiate. Okay, now that I got that off my chest, let us My poor Dasher is so lost. Poor baby. I'm watching him try to find the house right now. So lost. And I almost don't want to start on the second one until they get here. We'll just start on it and then we'll take a quick break and we'll continue with the show. Okay. Welcome everyone. And thank you for being here. And I just saw a Cash App come through from Mark Sule. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for the Cash App. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you guys' support. I really do. So let's see here. Let's discuss this next story. Y'all, this story bothers me so bad. Every time I think about it, I could literally cry. I forgot how to expand the screen and make it zoom in. And I don't want to push stuff. So I know it's very small, but I'll read it to you. This happened very, very recently. This happened a little earlier this month. A Minnesota man has been accused of bludgeoning a female coworker to death using a sledgehammer. David Bruce DeLong, 40, was charged with second-degree intentional murder on November 11th. Wright County Sheriff's Office said in charging documents that DeLong had confessed to the unaliving and said he did not like the victim, later named by her family as Amber Check, and had been planning to kill her for some time. Why it matters. The murder raises questions about workplace safety. You see how the media just... Let me just focus. The murder raises questions about workplace safety. The victim's family told CBS affiliated WCCO that they want to raise awareness about workplace violence. This is not your issue. Oh my goodness, they're so lost. Y'all, let me guide my little Dasher to greatness, okay? Let us take a quick break. Let me give them a call and try to guide them to where they need to be. Where is my little break? Okay. Also, I think this is very loud, so do please watch your ears because I do think it's very loud. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, we are back. Thank you all for hanging in there with me. I also had to take a bite of my food. I'm very hungry, so forgive the mouth sounds. I know some people are very sensitive to that kind of stuff. So let us continue. We were reading. I was saying that workplace violence is not the issue that you need to be focused on. What you need to be focused on is what is going on with today's male. Just look at him. He looks like a fucking nut. What is going on with today's male, right? And this is the same type of guy who wouldn't want us to judge him based on his outward appearance. And we shouldn't. I don't want to encourage that. So let me not encourage that. What I'm saying is don't judge on outward appearance. Assume they're all crazy. And then that way you're not judging on outward appearance. You're judging on what you know. And you're judging on a preponderance of evidence is what you're judging on. Okay? So anyway, DeLong and Check worked together at Advanced Process Technologies in Cokato, Minnesota. Police responded at 6 a.m. on November 11th to a 911 call reporting an injured woman at the scene. The woman, who was not named by police, had suffered major head trauma with significant blood loss. Excuse me. A bloody sledgehammer was seen on the floor near her. Police said DeLong confessed to killing her in statements to them, as well as telling a witness something to the effect of, "I hit her with your hammer. She is by your toolbox. She is gone." This man just decides to just end this young woman's life. 20 years old. He's 40. So in a perfect world, he would have almost, I mean, he's technically old enough to be your father. He could have had her at 20. But if nothing else, there should be an uncle, big brother type protective vibe over a young woman getting into an industry like she was in. Instead, you, as a 40-year-old man, are triggered by a 20-year-old young woman who's just trying to make a way for herself. And I think that's what bothers me so much about this story. They all bother me. Don't get me wrong. I find every single one of them incredibly disturbing. But this one bothers me because she's trying to make a way for herself. She's not trying to milk the system or anything like that. She's learning a craft, learning a trade, not asking anyone for anything, earning her own way forward. And you, with your jealous, hateful ass, psychotic, should have been diagnosed long time ago ass, just decided you're just going to take her life. You're just going to end her life. What gives you the right? What gives you the right? And it's kind of like, you all know my position on the workplace, corporate culture, return to office versus working from home. And obviously, in this particular industry, this is not a work from home eligible industry because I believe they were welders. Yeah, they were welders. So you can't weld from home. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure you can, but you guys get what I'm saying from an employment perspective. But it still makes me think like, wow, man, here you guys are in this modern age, and you're still trying to force us to come into these offices and be around people who may not be well, be around people who may be undiagnosed or diagnosed and just don't care. Be around people who, in their private time, are consuming God knows what on the internet. And then we're supposed to assume that we're safe when we don't necessarily know what's going on. It's like, oh God, this is so complex. Probably should put it on my other channel. But the general thought process is part of the reason for this demand for return to office is because men want access to women for free. Again, they were welders. This is a different type of situation. But on that general thread, they like coming to work. You got to understand that. A lot of guys, they love coming to work. Why? Because it's their opportunity to see where all the new girls are. Who are all the new girls? Where's the fresh meat? Where's the meat that I spotted 6 months ago that I've been quietly stalking at work and trying to get her to give me a chance? Who can I go flirt with? Who can I go have an affair with? So it's almost like, think about it like this. These men are already crashing out because when they go out in public and try to meet women, it's very difficult. And I imagine that it is. I cannot imagine trying to meet strangers and sell myself in a 60-second interaction and meeting more failures than successes. That's gotta suck. But I also don't need people around me like that. So it's very hard for me to process adding people to your life on purpose. But some people are like that, men in particular. That's why they're always out. You ever notice that? When you look at these videos online of different public outings, you mostly see men. Men love to be out. They love to roam and wander. Okay. So anyway, you have a low success rate in public. So it's hard for you to meet women that way. But at work, there's like 100 different women here. And maybe you haven't met them all yet. But throughout the course of a year, you can meet every woman at your workplace if you work hard enough at it. It's almost like a catalog. It's almost like going to the mall and shopping in the store, which is when they're trying to do it on their own, versus having a catalog sent to your house and you just sit and flip through the catalog. Like, oh, Sharon from accounting is looking hot in those heels today. Ooh, I wonder if her husband knows she walked out of the house looking like that. Oh, what do we have here? Dang, I wish I had a book so I can make the book sound. Oh, what do we have here? A newbie. Oh, 22, fresh out of college. Let me go get my coffee on that floor today. Maybe I'll bump into the newbie. Yeah. Ugh. Bridget. Ugh. Oh, Tasha looks good today. Okay. It's like a catalog. Do you understand? Where their selection is almost guaranteed because you have to be nice to people at work. We'll do a separate show on that. Okay. We'll do a separate show on that. But anyway, back to this young woman. I can't get over this one, y'all. This one is honestly the one that triggered the show because, like, she couldn't have seen it coming. No one's bracing for a sledgehammer at work. If anything, we're bracing for guns and pistols at work. You know what I mean? Where at least if you hear the sound, you have a chance to run. You know what I mean? Or duck or hide or something. But she probably never imagined in a million years he would do this to her. But I also did read somewhere she had reported him multiple times, and nothing was done. And I think that that's a trigger for me as well. Knowing that you really don't have any support or anyone to help you or take your side. They never do until it's too late. I hope her family sues this company out of existence. I hope they sue this company out of existence, especially if it's documented that she reported this guy before and they didn't do anything. Like, what also blows my mind about men like this is understand where a person is when they are so willing to throw their own life away. Sometimes they are willing to destroy their own life. And we actually talked about this years ago. I did a video called Narcissists Don't Care About You. Excuse me. It was called Narcissists Don't Care About Themselves. So don't expect them to care about you. Something like that. It was titled something like that. They don't care about themselves. So what would make you think they would take more care with you when they don't even care about themselves? That is the ultimate of care. Caring about yourself is the final form of care, or maybe it's the beginning. It's hard to say. It's the alpha and the omega. Truly caring for yourself is the beginning and the end. So if you don't care about yourself, how can you care about someone else? So the willingness that they have to throw their whole lives away, his life is finished. he might have made it to age 80, maybe. Looking at him since he's 40 and this is what it's giving, he probably would have made it closer to like at least 70, right? Work a few more years in the welding industry, retire, take his pension, and go live a normal life somewhere. Instead, he would rather spend the rest of his life behind bars. That's how much he didn't like this 20-year-old woman. Like, so that I'm illustrating that to show you how severe this is. That he's willing to give up everything he had and work for and go to prison for the rest of his life because of a 20-year-old girl. And I'm not downgrading the fact that she was 20, so not a minor. She was a woman, but compared to him, this is a girl, like your little sister. You hated her that much? I think somewhere I saw in the chat, it said that she was doing a better job than him or something like that. So you got jealous. These men are so unstable, y'all. They're incredibly unstable. And if I had the time, I would look further into his like personal history. But I am curious about like his criminal record. Did he go to anybody's school? Did he have kids of his own, a wife, anything? Like I'm very curious on the back story of this guy, but I guess it doesn't matter now, but it's just so appalling. And I feel like the family taking this workplace violence thing angle is not going, that's not it. They have to take the right angle, which is violence against women from men, the rage that these men are carrying just because you exist as a woman. Like it's literally driving them crazy. This is what I was talking about earlier. Like if I had a son, if I started to see him get fixated on women and like what women do and what they think and what they drink and what they eat and what they wear and how they do their hair and all that stuff, oh no, honey, we're pulling you out. We're putting you in sports or something. Like we got to get your mind off of this because it's almost like once they fixate it, it's almost impossible to pull them out of it. Here's one of the number one ways you can tell. If you meet a new guy and one of his first questions to you is, so what do you think about men and women? Run, girl. I'm telling you. Trust me on this. Just like I told y'all, when they can't read, write, speak, or spell, run. And I was right. I'm telling you now, if you go on a date or you meet somebody new, a new guy, and one of his first questions is, so who do you think should do all the cooking, men or women? Run, girl. I'm telling you, because that means that that's what's on the top of his mind. That is what he ruminates on. That is what he fills his brain with 24/7. And every time he meets a woman, he knows that if a woman doesn't know this stuff already, if no one alerts her to this, she'll get pulled in. And that's what he wants. It's a form of draining her energy because he knows that all he's going to offer is a circular argument. And she will spend every last piece of energy trying to get him to see the truth. And he already knows that he's not going to accept anything that she says. So she's wasting her time. She just doesn't know that. But he does. That's why I'm saying, if that's among the first thing, all right, tell me something. Tell me something. I got a question for you. Oh, sure. What is it? Do you think a man and woman should go 50-50 on the bills? I'm just going to put my fork down. I'm going to get my purse and say, you know what? It was a pleasure meeting you. You seemed like a nice guy, but I'm going to get out of here. Because I asked you a question. Like, no, I'm just not going to do this. It's a Saturday night. The weather's lovely. And I'm not going to sit here and debate men and women with you. You're 40. Like, I'm not doing this. We're, I'm, like, no. I'll actually here. Since you asked about the bill, here's my half. And have a good evening. Okay? Exactly. Chat says, if that's a question, it's time to go. Because it's almost like they are constantly trying to sell this mindset. And they are constantly trying to sell this ideology. And let me tell you what they're actually looking for. And this is also how they get scammed, by the way, because the girls who are out here scamming already know this. And they tend to do this in other countries. Here's what they want to hear. When he asked you, What's your position on cooking for your man? What he wants to hear you say is, "Oh, I love cooking for my man. Mhm. I love getting up before he does, and I get down there and I'll make him some biscuits and gravy and some bacon and some eggs, okay? And then if he has to go to work, I'll make him a little sandwich, you know what I'm saying? And like a little yogurt because I want him to be healthy or whatever, and some fruit, but he won't eat it. But I put it in there anyway, you know. And then like sometimes he come home for lunch. So when I know he's coming home, I be cooking him lunch. I have lunch ready for him or whatever. And then he go back to work and sometimes he take a little plate with him or whatever. And then when he get back, dinner is like waiting or whatever, and the table is like set. Like, what you mean? Like, of course I cook for my man. I don't want my man to be hungry. The fuck? Like, I want my man to like always know that the food is over here. That he don't have to go to I can't do this. That he don't have to go to no other bitch's house because the food is over here with me. You know what I'm saying? And I like to switch it up too. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to cook the same thing every day because that's like boring. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to, you know what I'm saying, switch it up a little bit and like try different things or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And like that's how I treat my man. And he's over there like, yeah, 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 yeah. Well, what about cleaning? The fuck? Like, what you mean? Like, my house stay clean, okay? Like, I don't send my man out dirty. Are you kidding me? Like, as soon as he come through the door, babe, come up out that shirts, come about them shoes, come about them pants. I'm gonna put all of that in the washing machine, and his other outfit is already ready for the next day. The fuck? Who you think I am? Like, of course my house stay clean. Okay, okay, I got one more for you. One more. What if he want to do something? You know what I'm saying? Do something. And you don't want to. Obviously, like that's my man. So I'm going to give my man whatever he needs any time of day, no matter how I'm feeling, even if I have like a headache or something. Like we gonna make it work. We gonna work it out. Listen, this is what he wants to hear from you. Let me take this off. Let me put it on a different screen since I'm cutting up. Y'all know we cut up over here. We have to laugh to keep from crying from this nightmare that we're all living. Okay. So this is what they want to hear. They want to hear that you are a cooking, cleaning, sexing machine who never complains about it. And he'll just keep going. I promise you he will. All right, all right, all right. I got one more for you. What if, you know what I'm saying, your man slip up and he cheat on you one day and you find out about it? What you gonna do? I mean, he's a man. He's a man. Like men be out there, you know what I'm saying? And like women are like beautiful, you know what I'm saying? Like who could blame him? Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know, if he slip up or whatever, like shoot, like sometimes you just gotta look the other way. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be tripping over every little female that he slip up with. You can't be tripping on that. Like you gotta like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta chill. You gotta like relax and just be like, okay, he's a man, and that's what men do. You know what I'm saying? As long as she don't get disrespectful me, you know what I'm saying? Like disrespect my home, then like it's all good or whatever. It's like as long as he know where home is at, then you know what I'm saying? Like it's gravy, you know what I'm saying? It's whatever. Like we're not gonna mess up the family over a little cheating. Like, come on, he's a man. This is what they want to hear from you. Y'all enjoy this. Maybe we should do a whole series when I do that voice. Maybe then it'll click. You think that'll click? It'll click then? Yeah, chat says that's called a pick me. Exactly. Extreme pick me behavior. And I just find it to be so unbecoming. Oh my God. Like, I wish women knew how important they are. And I wish women really truly understood their power. And it's hard because we're not taught to believe in ourselves like that. We're actually taught to think very little of ourselves. And it takes many, many, many years for us to snap out of the programming that we are given. But here's what should help you with that. If you just look at how they act regarding women when they're not busy killing us, It should tell you everything you need to know. Shannon Sharp just lost what, $23 million because he just had to have some young white woman. And then he got carried away and started basically abusing her. And she recorded it, reported it, and got paid. They're willing to come up off of $23 million for you. They crash out, they lose their mind. Like, that is a power that is, it's hard for me to even describe because I don't feel that way about anything. I don't feel that way about anything, especially not a man. So, like, the only thing I could see myself truly crashing out over is my family. That's it. And like close, like direct bloodline type family. Not that I wouldn't crash out for my extended family, but I might march for them. I'll go protest. Try to get legislation passed. But as far as like crashing out, throwing it all away, the only people I could even closely envision doing that over is like my super, super tight, close family, immediate circle. You know what I'm saying? But they're like that over strange women on the internet. I can't imagine being that obsessed with something. So anything that generates that much obsession, that is a power that you may or may not be aware of. Okay? Um the chat says I'm not even marching. Miss me. Oh, y'all want me to talk about Shannon Sharp. We might do a separate show on him, but I thought I mentioned him on something recently. I can't remember, but for those who don't know who he is, because I do forget, I have an international audience. Some members are. He's basically a very famous American football player who made lots of money over the course of his career. He has a podcast now, but recently he was taken to court by a young woman that he was dealing with, and she cleaned him out of $23 million because he basically abused her, allegedly, something like that. And everyone is just so disappointed because, among other things, he refused to pay for his daughter's wedding. He told his daughter 30,000 max is all that he would contribute to her wedding, his own blood daughter child. But this young woman who's like not even half his age, she's like 75% of his age or something like that, gets $23 million, which is basically everything that he was worth. And everyone is just like, this is insane. Like, you guys cannot control yourselves to the point where you'll give up your entire inheritance, life savings, everything you worked for over a woman because you're that depraved, because you got to have it that bad. It's almost like they all have untreated sex addictions. And my question as like a natural scientist is, where did that come from? Some people will say corn or prawn, however you want to put it. Some people will say it came from that, but see, I don't think so. I'm sorry. I know they've showed studies that it degrades the brain and like rots your brain out and literally rewires your brain, but there's something more there, y'all. There's something more there for it to become a literal mind-numbing addiction that would cause you to throw your whole life away. Nothing is that serious. But it is to them. It is to them. And young women need to know that. See, I don't feel like we were properly taught, but I also think perhaps in the past, no one thought it would be this bad. I don't think anyone thought we would get to these levels. So I don't know, but young women need to know this. It's just so sad because it's like, when I think through what's happening, especially like with these younger people, the 19, 20, 21-year-olds, 22, what I'm guessing has happened is this. The young man who probably didn't stand a chance to get with any woman, truthfully, finally finds a young lady who finds him interesting and funny and cool and starts hanging out with him, right? To the young man who's used to failure, this is almost like hitting the lottery, right? It's the equivalent of hitting the lottery. I finally got a girl to talk to me. That's huge. That's major. Okay. And she's pretty and she's smart and she actually likes me. Wow. Like that's like the most incredible thing to happen to them, right? So they start dating or whatever. But here's what I believe happens: these young men allow themselves to be influenced by their older cousins, their older brothers, their uncles, sometimes their dads, but primarily social media. And they're like, bruh, you can't buy her flowers and stuff. You can't be nice to her, dog. You got to start being kind of mean, or else she's going to think you a simp, basically. So the young men, because I really also believe a lot of men are just flat out fucking stupid. And that's a different show. And maybe stupid is not the word. I think something is missing. And something is missing that is causing them to not be able to process thoughts completely. It's something. Something is caused. There's like a connection that's broken in their brain. And if we could ever fix it, we could solve a lot of these problems. But it's almost like something is either not there, the structure is not there to support that type of thought. Anyway, because he's kind of stupid and very impressionable, he believes everything that these older men are telling him, even though he's looking at their life and he's not seeing success, he still believes them. So then what he does is he starts trying different things with this lovely young woman who hasn't done anything to him. But he's like, all right, let me start being mean. So when she calls me tonight, I'm not going to call her back till tomorrow morning. So his little girlfriend calls like she always does, excited to talk to her boyfriend. He doesn't answer. And then, that cascades, whatever, however she reacts. So now the next day when they talk, she's mad, right? Or concerned or whatever. But anyway, my point is he's happy because he's like, all right. I'm being a alpha male. You don't call me, I'll call you back when I feel like it because I'm a man. And she's sitting there like, why didn't my boyfriend take my phone call? And this is what starts the tension in their relationship, right? So then when she's finally had enough and she's ready to leave him, what happens is he recognizes that this might have been his only shot at a relationship ever, or it might have been his only shot at a relationship for the foreseeable future, right? And he can't take it. He can't take it. He's literally losing the best thing that ever happened to him, ever in life. Most of these guys feel unlucky, and they are. Most of these guys grow up in poverty. Most of these guys really don't stand a chance from the very beginning. And I feel like that's a separate show that I need to do, but they really don't stand a chance from the very beginning. So when you're a young guy who really doesn't have a bright future, and you come across a young woman who maybe she wants to be a nurse practitioner or something like that. So she's focusing her efforts and energy in that direction. You think to yourself, wow, I hit the jackpot. My woman is smart. She's cute. You know what I'm saying? She's fun and she likes me. And then to lose that, they can't envision they can't envision a future where they would have to try to replicate that, basically. They can't envision that future. And also, here's the other thing. A lot of men are also quite lazy. In spite of what they would have you to believe, they're actually quite lazy. So if he put in all this work to get this girl, to him, it's like, wow, I have to reinvest all this time and energy getting this woman back again. And to him, that's a sunk cost. And he'll be damned if someone else benefits from his investment. And that's why they're taking the lives of these girls. Their logic is very simple, but it's very clear when you start breaking it apart. It's almost like a thought process that's so simple, it leads to destruction. I'll put it to you like this. Let's say my computer, which has been known to give me problems in the past, if my thought process was this simple, this is how it would go. Computer, work, good. Computer, not work, bad. Destroy computer. And that's it. So instead of me diagnosing the problem, trying to figure out what's wrong, you know, troubleshooting. And then if it all else fails, just getting another computer. Instead of me doing that, my thought process is to destroy it, to take it and slam it on the ground and shatter it into a million little pieces because it stopped working. And if somebody said, "Why did you do that?" Because it stopped working. What do you mean? They're like, "Well, that was a little extreme, don't you think?" Well, no, it not working was extreme. It was working and it was fine. Then it stopped working and I needed it to work. So it not working was extreme for me. So I took extreme action, which was to completely destroy it. And then your computer tech friend says, all you needed was a new power cord, right? You didn't have to destroy the whole machine. Your power cord was frayed. You just $12 purchase and you could have kept going. But too late now because the computer is destroyed. Exactly. Chat says a toddler would do that. Y'all, I'm telling you, it's almost like their minds got frozen somehow in that toddler state. And we have got to figure out how that happened and how to prevent it from happening and how to reverse it because it stays permanent throughout their entire life, their whole lives. It does not change. It's like it gets locked in around age 4. And all that happens is the body changes around the mind, but the mind remains the same. And that causes so many problems, y'all. It causes countless problems in our society, and nobody sees it because the man grows up. The man grows up over 6 feet tall and gets a full beard and, has a job and drives cars. Let me tell you something. You want to know why I think they're so mad about like women in the workforce and stuff, particularly like the corporate workforce? They're mad because they know that pound for pound, they couldn't get the jobs. Some of them, sure. Yeah, some of them, they could get those jobs. But a lot of these jobs involve a portion of the brain that I think a lot of men have underdeveloped. And it requires executive functioning, thinking, planning, organizing, all of the things that they can't do at home and they make their wife do it. Planning the meals, the grocery shopping, cleaning, getting set up for holidays, gifts, everything the woman coordinates. That same level of coordination is required in the corporate workforce. I don't know so much about like the field, the factories, manufacturing, things of that nature, but in the office spaces, you have to have those executive level functions. And a lot of men simply don't possess that, but women do. Who knows why? But we're not here to discuss the why. The point I'm trying to make is I think what happens is they're jealous that they know they couldn't get those jobs if they tried. They're not going to school and finishing school at the same rates, not because school has become woke or DEI or any of that stuff. It's because they know they can't do it, y'all. They know they can't sit there and read through all that stuff. They know they can't type those papers. They know they can't force themselves to do the silly little stuff like discussion boards, which are absolutely stupid. I've already ranted about those a couple years ago. And the name of that series is Academic PTSD. So if you're interested in that series, it's still up on my channel. But I talk about things like the stupid discussion board posts that you have to do. The difference between me and most men, though, is that I can actually force myself to do it. I just complain about it the whole time. But I'll respond and I'll get my little points for my discussion board, but men can't do it. Men are going to open it up and go, "This is so dumb," and they're going to close it and go do something else. And it's not that they're wrong, because it is dumb. It's that they can't make themselves do it. That is the difference. They just can't. They'd rather go cut the grass. And there's nothing wrong with that. The grass needs to be cut. But what I'm saying is they have a lot of trouble disciplining themselves in that way. And as a result, there's a lot of knowledge that is lost. A lot of growth, a lot of development is lost in the fact that they won't sit down and read a book. Y'all, don't get me started. I feel myself trailing. This needs to be a whole separate show. So here's what I'm going to do. We've been here about an hour and a half. I actually intended to keep going because I wanted to talk about that Utah dad. And I wanted to also talk about Megyn Kelly and what she was in the news for a couple of weeks, where she's soft launching the idea that a child is really anyone under the age of like 5. And that, once you bypassed 5, you're not really a kid anymore. And therefore, you're eligible to be passed around by billionaires who will put the right price on your head. I'm so furious about that, y'all. I can barely even think straight. And I was going to include that on this show, but I think that actually needs to be separated out. So, what this means is there's hope for content coming in the days and weeks ahead, because I still have so much to say about this topic. But I think I want to end it here, um, and we'll pick up on this later. So we might do the series again sooner than you would expect, but it's just so I can get all these thoughts out, okay? But I want to close by saying this: the situation is serious. You need to take it seriously. You need to consider all men a threat, even if they've never done anything threatening. And you don't have to change your behavior. You don't have to tip them off that you're scared now, because we're really not scared. We're alert, is what we are. Um, Now may not be the time for dating. Maybe let's take some time off from dating, because you don't really know what's driving the thought process of today's modern male. And you have to find out if this type of stuff is brewing in the back of his mind or in the front of his mind. And it's not hard. But for those of you who are going to continue dating, I want y'all to just be careful, be safe. Always make sure someone knows where you are and who you're with. Many phones and phone carriers will allow you to share your location with trusted friends and family. I highly recommend you do that, and don't tell him. Don't say, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you. Just want you to know my friends know where I am right now." Like, don't say that kind of stuff. Just quietly have the location on your phone with a trusted friend or family member. Um, and be willing to end things when you see red flags. I think our society has trained us to believe that we are supposed to be these patient, um, long suffering humans who see a couple of flaws in a guy, but nobody's perfect. If you find yourself saying to yourself, nobody's perfect, end it. End it. Because what you're doing is trying to justify something that your intuition is telling you this is not okay. But then your propagandizing and conditioning has taught you it's not okay to judge people, because we're all imperfect. We've all made mistakes. None of us have had a perfect walk. So why should I judge him because he's been to jail 3 times? He's reformed now. He's a new man. Nah, go ahead and judge. Because he would judge you for being a single mother. Do you understand that? Do you understand that he would judge you if he believed you've had more than 1 or 2 sex partners? He's judging you. He's downgrading you. Do you know he's judging you if you're meeting him and wearing a wig or a weave? You know he's judging you for that. Or if you have your eyelashes done, he's judging you for that. Do you know he's judging you if you're past a certain age and you don't have kids? If you're, say, 31 and you don't have children yet, he's judging you for that. What, are you washed up? So he's judging you. That's the point that I'm trying to make. He's judging you off extremely superficial and some non-provable things. So if you know he's been to jail 3 times, I mean, I think that's reason enough to judge him. Yes, chat says they would judge you for being fat. If you put on a few pounds over the year, he's looking at you, judging you like, she needs to get back in the gym. So you should judge him because he can't spell. And I mean that. I'm not playing. He's judging you for being a few pounds overweight. Will you judge him because he can't spell? He's judging you because, oh, a relationship didn't work out. You ended up a single mom. Well, judge him because he never finished school. Y'all got to get mean. I'm talking about you need to practice being mean. Not necessarily in his face, because as we've already seen, they are prone to crashing out. But what I'm saying is, you need to practice being internally mean where nobody else hears it but you. And he's like, oh, how many boyfriends you had? Well, I've had boyfriends over the years. Oh, so you slept around. And in your mind, you should think, yep. And you don't know the difference between your, and your. So, or rather, your and your. Sorry, there's only two of those. See, the fact that I know that should be impressive to you. Now I'm sitting here counting. I'm like, you're belonging to someone else. You are. Is there a third one? There's not a third one. It's there, and there that I'm thinking about. There's three of them. 2 and 2. Anyway, my point is, exactly. Chat says mean equals not taking BS. Exactly. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hey, if he judges you for wearing a wig or a weave, judge him for that receding hairline, as the chat says. I can't breathe, okay? What I'm saying is, in the past where you might have gone easy, excuse me, what am I trying to say? Because I'm laughing now. In the past where you might have actually gone easy on them, like, his grammar ain't that great, but he seems cool. Nah, go hard. Especially if he has the audacity to judge you for anything. Anything. He needs to be grateful that you, a woman, a human female, is even giving him the time of day, because it's borderline priceless. So the fact that you're even talking to him at all is a gift. And the fact that he has the absolute audacity, nerve, and gall to sit up there and judge you when he can't even spell as an adult male in a society where we are surrounded by nothing but information, in a society where you can type something up, copy, paste it into any number of things and say, please spell check this for grammar and consistency and flow. And it'll do it for you, and it'll do a good job too. You're too lazy to even do that. They got the robots doing that for us now. You won't even do that. But you judging me because I'm 5 pounds overweight? Judge him because he still lives with his mom. Listen, I'm saying this is how you keep yourself safe, ladies. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And it's going to feel weird for those of you who are not accustomed to it. But the better you get at it, the more you will find that you are naturally filtering foolishness out of your life. Okay? You know what? I'm hanging up on y'all because y'all are cutting up in this chat. Chat says, okay, I can't do this. Chat says, judge that he has big arms but small legs. Chat says, judge the fact that he has a misspelled tattoo. Chat says, judge the fact that he's created 3 broken homes. Chat says, judge the fact that he has childbearing hips. You know what? I'm out of here. I'm out of here, but we are not done, because I still have a lot to say and we still have a lot of stories to cover. Just couldn't get to them tonight. So I appreciate all of you. I don't know when I'll be back, but I'm hoping that it will be very, very soon. Okay. This was a lot of fun, but not because of obviously what has happened to these women, but I just enjoy talking about these things with you guys, finding humor where we can in the middle of a very, very serious subject. And I enjoy raising awareness about this topic because this was not taught to me. Sorry, I'll close on this. This wasn't taught to me as a child. I was actually taught to trust men, really. And I think it was more indirect because I didn't have terrible men in my family in the traditional sense, meaning I don't know of anyone that was getting hit and beat and abused. I don't know. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I don't know of anyone who was getting touched on as a child by the men in our family. Again, I'm not saying it couldn't happen or didn't. I just don't know of it. Um, I grew up seeing men get flowers for their wives on Valentine's Day and Christmas gifts and jewelry and perfume being bought and like, and again, I'm not saying that they are all these perfect guys in my family. Just not a single thing wrong with any of the men in my family. It's your family. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I didn't grow up fearing men. That's what I'm trying to say. I didn't grow up in fear of men. If anything, I grew up looking at men as like the protectors, which is what they are supposed to be. They have lost their way. But I grew up like if I was scared, I wanted my daddy. And it's not that I didn't want my mom, I wanted her there also. But for the primary is I wanted my dad if I was scared. Because I'm thinking, shoot, mom, me and you in the same boat. Where's daddy? Daddy's supposed to cover us both, you know? Like as an adult growing up, when I have problems or have had problems in the past, I call my dad. You understand? And he always made it very clear if you can't get a hold of me, you call your uncles. So I always knew I had the primary and I had backups. You understand what I'm saying? Um, I don't know, man. Like I grew up not in fear of them like I should have been, is what I'm saying. So it made me very naive and it made me very trusting and it made me believe in a character that I don't know for sure actually exists, except for in my mind. Do you understand? Because just like I said at the start of the show, the men in my family who are family members to me are nothing more than other men to you, and vice versa. So, where are all these dangerous men coming from if all the men in my family are great and all the men in your family are great and all the men in her family are great? Well, where are all these dangerous men coming from? Ooh, chat says you must believe in the boogeyman. As I once said, I forgot all about that. So thank you. You just jogged a memory. I wonder if that's still live on the channel. I hope so. You must believe in the boogeyman. You have to. It is the start of your freedom. And with that, I'm going to close. Thank you all for being here. We will get together again, and I can't wait to go back and read through all of your comments, okay? But until then, stay safe, keep your eyes open, tell a friend, and we will talk again very, very soon, all right? Have a good one. Have a great week. Bye.